Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into something truly extraordinary, an ancient step-by-step map for spiritual development. And this isn't just some vague philosophical idea. It's a detailed, structured guide that charts a journey all the way to the ultimate potential of human consciousness.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if you had a guide for the most profound journey anyone could possibly take? Well, that's exactly what our source material lays out. It's a blueprint that's been studied for centuries, and it details everything: the stages, the milestones, and the incredible shifts in perception needed to achieve a complete and perfect awakening. So, right out of the gate, at the very beginning of this journey, you're faced with a fundamental choice. It's a massive fork in the road, and it defines the entire motivation for the path ahead. Are you doing this just for your own liberation, or are you doing it for the awakening of everyone?
And this slide really breaks down that choice for us. On the left, you've got the path of liberation, which is focused on reaching your own personal nirvana. But on the right, that's the path to Buddhahood, the path of great Bodhi. And that's the path we're going to be exploring today. A journey you take not for yourself, but out of this immense compassion for every single being in existence.
Now, before you can even think about starting the main climb, you have to lay this immense foundation. We're talking about 40 distinct preparatory stages. You know, this isn't some weekend retreat. It's a profound, long-term commitment to completely reshaping the mind.
And here, you can really get a sense of the scale of that preparation. The whole thing kicks off with the 10 faiths. And get this, our source says this stage alone can take 10,000 eons. From there, you move through the 10 abidings to practice virtues, the 10 practices to get insight into reality, and then finally, the 10 dedications, which is all about getting you ready for that next great leap. But within that long preparatory phase, there is this huge aha moment. It's a critical milestone. At the stage of the 7th abiding, the practitioner has their first real awakening to what the text calls the true mind. This is the first direct taste of the goal, a direct glimpse of ultimate reality that they've been working towards for so long.
Okay, so once that incredible foundation is rock solid, the Bodhisattva begins the 10 main ascents. These are also known as the 10 grounds, or bhumis. And this is where the transformation gets really fascinating, because each stage represents a deeper and more profound shift in how reality itself is perceived.
And here it is. This is the actual map we'll be following. This table from our source lays out the entire epic journey. You can see those two paths we talked about over on the right. For the rest of our time, we're going to be focusing on that left-hand column, which details the whole Bodhisattva path from that initial prep work all the way to final Buddhahood. It's just a stunningly complete blueprint. So let's dive in. The first ground. The whole focus here is on mastering the first paramita, which you can think of as a perfection. In this case, it's the perfection of teaching the Dharma. And this isn't just about book smarts. It's all rooted in a direct, personal realization of what the text calls the two types of selflessness, that there's no permanent self in a person and no permanent self in anything at all.
And this leads to this just incredible shift in perception. On this first ground, reality is seen as being like images in a mirror. Think about that. A reflection in a mirror is perfectly clear, isn't it? But it has no substance of its own. It's just a reflection, totally dependent on the mind that sees it.
All right, moving up to the second ground. Now the focus shifts to perfecting ethical conduct. But at this stage, it's not about trying to follow a bunch of rules anymore. Virtue becomes this pure, natural, and totally effortless expression of this deeper understanding of reality. It's just who you are.
And of course, with this new stage comes an even subtler view of the world. Phenomena are now seen as being like light and shadows. I love this analogy. You can't have a shadow without light, right? They arise together, they depend on each other, and they have no separate existence.
On the third ground, the Bodhisattva works on perfecting forbearance, or you could say unshakable patience. This incredible stability comes from mastering deep meditative states, and that becomes the solid foundation for cultivating boundless compassion for every single being.
And the perception deepens once again. Now, things are understood to be like echoes in a valley. An echo sounds totally real, but it's completely dependent on the original sound and the shape of the valley. It has no reality of its own. It's just a beautiful metaphor for how all of our experiences arise, completely dependent on other things. Now, here's something that is just absolutely crucial to understand. At several of these stages, the Bodhisattva becomes wise enough to just check out. They could attain their own liberation, exit the cycle of rebirth, and be done. But they don't. They make a conscious, completely selfless choice to hold on to a subtle connection to the world, a residual hindrance, so they can be reborn to keep helping others. Compassion is literally the engine driving this entire journey.
So the path continues, and the analogies just get more and more subtle, more mind-bending. On the fourth ground, reality is like the moon reflected in water. You can see it, but you can't grab it. On the fifth, it's like a magical illusion. By the seventh, it's seen as a Gandharva's city, which is an ancient term for a celestial mirage. With each step, another layer of what we call reality just peels away.
So after traversing all 10 of these immense grounds of transformation, the practitioner is finally approaching the summit. This is the culmination of countless eons of effort, the final ascent to full Buddhahood.
The first of these final stages is called virtual enlightenment, which means you are right on the verge of the ultimate goal. And here, the bodhisattva spends another, wait for it, 100 eons, accumulating immense virtue. And the purpose of this, according to our source, is to actually perfect the 32 physical features that outwardly manifest a Buddha's inner perfection.
And then, the final destination, sublime enlightenment. This is it. The ultimate fruition of Buddhahood is finally achieved. All hindrances, both the emotional ones and the cognitive ones, are completely and permanently gone. The journey to the summit is complete.
But remember, the core motivation, right? It was for all beings. So even after achieving the ultimate goal, the work doesn't stop. The text says that the Buddha's enlightened form stays active, residing in a high heaven to continue teaching and guiding other bodhisattvas on the path, from all across the universe. You see, enlightenment isn't an escape, it's the ultimate empowerment to help.
So, after following this incredible journey, what can we take away from this ancient blueprint? What does this map of consciousness actually show us?
Well, 4 key principles really stand out. First, this path is gradual and highly systematic. It's not some random flash of insight. Second, compassion isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the fundamental motivation from start to finish. Third, the entire journey is a progressive, step-by-step transformation of perception. And finally, it presents this ultimate potential not as some myth, but as something that is genuinely attainable through dedicated effort.
And this quote from the source really captures the finality of that achievement. Completely severing the transformational existence, the bodhisattva achieves great parinirvana. This means a total and final liberation from the cycle of cause and effect that binds our ordinary lives.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful question. Whether you look at this map literally or metaphorically, it presents this absolutely staggering vision of human potential. So, if this is a map of consciousness, what does it really tell us about the undiscovered territory and the ultimate horizons of our own minds?